feel that society has become more violent?
Yes.
More violent. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's probably, yeah, it is. It has become worse.
I don't think the schools are near as safe as they used to be.
Yeah, I think violence has become much more acceptable.
There's too much of it on television, there's no question.
I don't think we live in a more violent world than the past. I just think we're more aware of it.
The stats on violence tell us that crime is down, except for youth crime. The street tells us that fear is up. So what's the story? Our perceptions, especially those of young people, are molded in large part by mass media. And it has been pointed out that excessive violence in the media can have harmful effects. Still, whether we want to admit it or not, violence has always been able to draw a crowd.
Since time immemorial, it's the two areas that the human struggles with continuously are sex and violence.
Human tragedy has never been anything less than totally captivating. You know, that's why they had public hangings. People would come for miles to see a man killed.
I think the word for it is fascination of abomination. That's what's happening now. People are fascinated with the destruction.
You know, I think violence is a part of the human condition, and it will always be in our storytelling, but I don't know if it needs to be the forefront of our storytelling, and I don't know if we need as much of it as we have. It's action, right? It's exciting, it's action. It's been made even lately, I find, to be sexy, you know, where it used to be sexy to have westerns, and then it was detective stories, and now it's violence.
The television world doesn't just reflect the real world. It's more violent than the real world.
George Gerbner calls it the mean world syndrome, and you know, we end up believing that we're living in a mean, horrible place.
What do we know for sure about the effects of violence that is seen in film and television on kids?
Well, it depends on the age of the kids.
The way a 2-year-old watches TV is different from the way an 8-year-old watches TV, and the way different programs affect children at different ages is very different.
The little toddlers and little kids, there appears to be very strong evidence to suggest that they simply mimic.
For instance, the Power Rangers, I mean, my son's a year and 9 months. Even when he watches that show, he flips out. He's punching the TV and he's going crazy with it.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Something's come along and it's burst our bubble. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Gotta get home quick, march on the double.
As you get older, you get the kids who are around 8, 9, 10, who can sort of separate fact from fiction, but will often be very confused, but will still act out, but are at least starting to get a mind of their own. So just the vulnerable within that group tend to act or copy.
We definitely know through looking at all of the studies that there's a particular group of at-risk kids who are tremendously heavy television watchers, or kids who experience violence in the home or live in stressful conditions, who are at risk. We see things like increased violent behavior after viewing, desensitization. You know, there's no reaction, there's no sadness, there's a worry that you'll see this in real life on the street and you won't react to it.
As you get into the teen years, there you've got kids who are trying to really push back against adult authority and rebel, and they're looking for scripts and ways to act out. So we know that within that teenage group, there are kids who are going to mimic, but they're going to be mimicking for very different reasons than the little kids are mimicking.
This whole sort of idea around it being okay for the good guy to be really violent, and in fact, heroes are twice as violent and sometimes even up to 10 times more violent than the bad guys are.
Another thing we know is that a lot of violence that comes through television at kids, whether it's news stories or films or music or whatever it is, it creates, the concern is less that it causes kids to be violent, more that it causes a culture of fear.
Fear, baby.
I'm not afraid that my kids are going to watch a violent movie and go out and try to reenact it. I'm more concerned with, you know, how their little hearts feel, and the fact that I don't want them to be scared by that kind of crap.
Touch the darkness, Demore.
those kids can separate fact from fiction in slasher films.
When you see it on like Freddy Krueger or something, you know it's fiction, so it's like, okay, I could take it as a joke.
But if the film looks a lot like, if it's on a street that looks like their street, or the people involved look like any kid that they would see, not Freddy Krueger with the long nails and the weird face, that's what scares and undermines kids.
Has there ever been a film that you've gone to where you were aware that the violence was so much that it was like making you sick?
Natural Born Killers. That was a little bit too much, I thought. And in most movies, the bad guys always get caught at the end, but in that one, they get away.
I found the violence scenes funny. I think it was the way he filmed it. He did different than other kind of violent movies.
Often that we don't give students enough credit for just how media literate they are.
I know that when I approach young people, I look at them differently. They might be packing a knife. I didn't think that 20 years ago.
Violence is a serious problem. Young people are involved in ever-increasing numbers. Their victims are often other young people.
Have you ever felt at risk at a club? Have you ever felt unsafe at a club or a dance or a rave?
No. Most of the fights you see, it's not because they want something, it's because they want to impress somebody.
Tough implies you've got it under control. Tough implies that in an uncertain world, you've got the edge because you can control. And the irony of that is it's really a display of powerlessness.
Mine is mine, and yours is mine. Don't even blink or I'ma rob you blind. The Onyx is ripping it. I got the Tech 9, so at the bomber clock, boy, buck, buck, buck.
You have people like Bob Dole who are pointing fingers at rap culture and all that sort of thing, but to me it's like if these people were creating a nice place to live, everybody had to find something nice to write about.
Now, still in a war zone, and I ain't forward zone, but I'm full grown. But the microphone P-Dog creeping in the drop with a 30-odd. Still with the man, and it's kinda odd that a roll down and let the trigger go. Still gotta pray for an LA replay.
Music videos don't tend to be something that parents are aware of the content maybe, and if they were just watching with the kids and able to talk to them about them, then again the kids would be able to decode what they're watching and or watch with a different eye.
I can mold ya into a warrior down for your neighborhood. Looking up into a G with the flavor. Criminal behavior on the mind when I got your back, you know I got your back each and every time.
Parents, if they listen to the album, they know what to watch for, you know, like, oh, if your kid is doing this and that, okay, it might be because he's from the ghetto.
Throw your set in the air. Give it up. Wait around like you just don't care.
If a rapper grows up in a tough neighborhood and his song is about growing up in a tough neighborhood, and that's the reality of his or her art, or if a country singer talks about how he got into a brawl in the bar, you can choose to accept that reality or reject it. But you can't censor them from having their view.
Well, you can, because when you're broadcasting a message, you have a public responsibility. And social, freedom of expression does not negate, moral standards.
I can't understand this man. Too much weak talk and not enough real hip-hop. A sense of purpose is filling me to display credibility and show responsibility.
The culture of rap is a little negative trip right now, and I think what's necessary is for a lot more artists to be more aware of the type of things that's going on worldwide with the youth that's being basically controlled by the media.
Right now, everything is negative, and believe me, 80% negative. I don't blame it on the artist. I blame it on the goddamn record company. What kind of accountability do they have to our community? None. And they feel they got none. So they feel like, hey, if you want to talk about killing mothers and taking little kids out and smashing them in the streets, cool. As long as we get out 95%.
How selective can you be about the lyrical message in a song when someone's offering a job?
Well, me personally, I can't be very selective as far as the lyrical content, but what I can be selective in is in the visual content. And what I try to do is when a record is popular and it might have somewhat of a negative connotation, I try to get with the artist and try to still come across with something that might not necessarily be 100% positive and sugary like that I would like to do, but still might be on a level of showing these kids something other than violence.
Whoa, that was cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Death is the silence. In this language of violence, death is the silence. The death is the silence. In this cycle of violence, death is the silence.
Sing it for me, girls. You know I'm your man. All right, here I come now. And you know when you hear me a moaning, well, and you know that's I'm your man.
The only thing as good as your crispy crunch is someone else's. And there's light, too.
Have you seen what they're selling at HMV?
Lisa Loeb and 9 Stories finally released their debut album, Tales. Lisa Loeb and 9 Stories, Tales, featuring Stay and Do You Sleep, now on sale at HMV.
Why can't music be like it was in the old days? I was made for loving.
Come to HMV and have your say on Much Music Speakers Corner. On the road now.
When Finn arrived at her grandmother's, she had no idea what her future would hold.
What's your name?
Now her eyes are about to be opened by the women who've seen it all.
I never liked full moons. They give people an excuse to do foolish things.
I'm young. I'm supposed to do foolish things.
Are you using protection?
Chill, Sophia.
Winona Ryder, Anne Bancroft, Ellen Burstyn, How to Make an American Quilt. Starts Friday, October 6th at theaters everywhere.
It was fantastic. It was anarchic. It was wild.
Saturday on Much Music. Back from the 80s, the best of the UK cult music show, The Tube.
Now on, you'll be watching Fantastic Tube.
I'm not normal.
The best of The Tube, Saturday on Much Music.
With all this talk about violence in the media, it may come as no surprise that broadcasters and the public are being summoned by the Canadian Radio and Television Commission to see what can be done. But the question remains, when it comes to violent imagery in the media, do we regulate, do we stipulate, or do we just turn it off?
But death is the silence. In this language of violence, death is the silence. But death is the silence. In this cycle of violence, death is the silence.
Parents across the country, teachers across the country are telling us that it's a deadly serious issue. The medical community has said so. Canadian Teachers Federation, Canadian Medical Association, they're all saying the medical evidence is devastating, that a relentless diet of gratuitous, romanticized violence obviously damages little children. The only public that we're concerned with is kids under 12. Obviously, if you're thinking of children's mental health, you have to do something. What should that something be? I think it's 80% education. This has been the CRTC's attitude. 10% of it is probably technological solutions, the V-chip or the anti-violence chip. Another 10% is probably voluntary codes run by the private broadcasters themselves, administered by them, following their judgment. In other words, I have not said the word law or regulation yet, have I?
This is our weekly screening committee meeting. When the videos come into Much Music every week on Tuesdays, we sit in a room, the programmers, and screen them. And if there's any instance where anyone in the program committee is uncomfortable with any of the imagery or lyrical content or metaphorical messages or whatever, if there's anybody there, they raise a hand, and then the videos come to this meeting where they're screened with the lyrics, and then we decide on whether or not they're suitable for air or not. Some people see this video as kind of a metaphor for changing the societal structure
Other people see this as a more literal call to arms to break down some of the conventional power points in society. Some people, about half the committee so far, has voted not to play it because they think it is a literal call to arms and therefore contains gratuitous violence, even though none of it is very graphic.
Well, the V-chip is a device that fits into the descrambler box that we put on top of the cable companies put on top of your TV set. Each program is going to be classified on a 1 to 10 scale, and let's say 10's the most violent. You could actually say to the chip, I don't want to see anything in this house past level 7. Then the chip will black out just for your house alone the program that doesn't make it over the violence threshold. It will be a feature just like audio control. You know, you'll have a violence control. You can turn it 1 to 10 or whatever. We've facilitated a way for people to deal with this question in a way that doesn't impact their neighbor, and it doesn't impact freedom of expression.
V-chip blocks, allows the parents to block signals coming in. Do you agree with that, or would you take a different approach?
Personally, I would take a different approach, and I think the Alliance would also. Censorship isn't giving knowledge or control or power to anybody, but education does. I think censorship may take it out of your house for a while, but it doesn't take it off the street, and it doesn't take it out of your neighbors' homes, and it doesn't take it out of the schools. We know that kids are most influenced by their home lives and by their parents, so we wanted to get this information out to parents.
Ultimately, this is about people buying products and watching programs and that sort of thing, so they're trying to attract an audience. Consumers have really spoken up, and things have changed. Advertisers have backed down, or we have the example last winter, I guess, of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where really only 2 parents complained about that program, lodged a formal complaint, and changes were made as a result of those 2 complaints. So people have figured out that if they speak up, things can change.
Just as long as it is safe from home tonight.
That's right, safe. Don't forget it.
You could read my mind.
This one goes out to all the youths out there. Check it out. No, follow me.
If the youth are if they're tight with their parents and their parents are raising them right, they can look at it as entertainment and not take it as serious to the point where they would actually go on the street and do somebody some harm.
If you leave a child to think, or you know how their imagination can run wild, if there's a parent there to bring them to reality, to say, okay, well, this is not real.
These parents tends to leave the kids at daycare or babysitter, and they don't really know what's going on during the day. Like if you live at a daycare, I guess it's pretty safe. But if you leave your kid with a babysitter, they're probably end up watching TV the whole day anyways.
I think that around 80% of the mothers that were in the study said that they were usually or always aware of what their children were watching, and that about half of the mothers actually either watch with their children or have another adult watching. So I think that's pretty encouraging.